My sense of place went up in a puff of smoke on June 30th. My grandmother told her that her grandmother had told her that we lived here forever. I've seen changes in ecosystems. I've seen less water. I've seen the trees struggling with drought and heat anxiety. I can't even tell the weather anymore. We had warned the colonial people that you can't just keep taking more. Being raised on the same place for over 8,000 years, there's this collective conscious knowledge that is handed down from generation to generation.
I was actually 8 months pregnant the day of the fire. We basically left with the clothes on our backs. We had left the house within minutes before it was on fire.
So what's our plan for dinner?
I was gonna order, and I was gonna cook, but I'm really cool.
I didn't have to come to this.
Like I said, even after the fire, I didn't feel homeless. I'm houseless, yes. I don't have a house. But I never felt homeless because we were always together. You know, it hit. We are homeless.
When you get up in the morning, you never take for granted the air that you breathe, or the water that you drink, or the food that you're able to secure, and certainly the shelter. The people who had been suffering wanted to get together. And maybe some of them wanted to be angry, maybe some of them wanted to protest. It wasn't a train that burnt my house down. It was a byproduct of climate change. Heat, drought, wind created conditions in our town that required one spark. And that spark occurred, and we lost our town. We need to invest in a resilient infrastructure. We need to invest in homes that don't burn down, homes that are cooler in the summer. And there are products available in the world today that can do that, but we're not using them. We're continuing to build straw homes. We're continuing to build stick homes. And yet climate change as wolves will continue to wipe those out. It's daunting, but in my heart, there's that optimism. We can actually rebuild Lytton for the environment that's coming for the next 100 years.
Please welcome the star of that video, the retired chief of the Kanakapaa Indian Band, the rebuild director now at Lytton First Nation, and grandfather to 18, Patrick Michel.
I promised all of you I'd behave. We'll see how long that gets. Ollie, thank you so much for that very kind introduction. And I've had the privilege of visiting your territory for a while, and I'm somewhat controversial. Okay. No, we'll go this way. Why? Because I wear my country and I wear my province on my lapel. I even changed diapers underneath our country. I love my country and I love my province. And I don't like what I'm seeing right now in my hometown. I don't like what I see it across Canada. But I will tell you, and tomorrow, I'll be doing another presentation tomorrow. I tell you what I like, what I'm seeing in this room today. You guys get it. So I always start off by doing my own form of land acknowledgement. And I say, Kuksteb Ath Kukpi, Kuksteb Shiashingo, Kuksteb NWTAC, couteau jaune? Eh? Is it jaune couteau? Oui. Je ne parle français. I am in Tlacamoch. I speak Thompson. But why am I from the Couteau tribe? Why am I from the Couteau tribe? First contact was with the French, and the one thing you learn about contact is if you can't pronounce your name, they're going to label you something else. So they showed up at the Intlacamp Nation and said, "Who are you?" He said, "We're the Intlacamach." And he says, "Oh, I can't spell that, and I sure in the hell can't say it, so shall I call you the Couteau." Our first contact was with the French in 1808. With contact comes change. And in this video that I have here, and I'm not going to be speaking to all of it or this deck, I want you guys to understand this deck was prepared as a resource material for you. So when you watch the video of the next 1,000 years, it's a 5-minute video that I did that just allows you to say, what is he saying? If you listen to the indigenous populations of Canada, maybe we have a chance, but will you listen? Next. Some of you may have seen me, and it's really, really hard for me to be quiet, but I did it for 2 days. You don't run around Yellowknife in a yellow tie and stand up on top of the stuffs holding yellow ties, or have I learned to right-click and steal off the internet? What I thought was interesting, though, is that since the NWTAC is some sort of entity, so when Sarah calls me up and says, "Hey, Patrick, can you come up to the Northwest Territories?" My first thought was, what in God's name does Canada's hotspot and the North have in common besides 4 crazy people? 3's a crowd, 4, that's just nuts. So at the end of the day, I've been wandering around your town scaring people. There's guys down at right down by the Northwest Territory, they're giving me money to make them leave away. And I'm talking, "Hey, why are you here? What you doing? What's going on? Hey, why is your picture in the grocery store? Hey, here's $1. Can you leave us alone? You're crimping our style, man." I invited them to dinner, but who's the bouncer? All those people said they were cold and hungry. I said, "Come on up. There's lots of seats at the Chateau Nova." I introduce you to the 3 individuals here who you know, because you've got this incredible resource in the Northwest Territories. So if you have a question, talk to them. You have this incredible group that we don't have in BC, which is you have a group of 33 communities who have this incredible staff. So if you have a chance, talk to them. In my world, the only bad question is the one you never asked. When you have staff who can answer your questions, provide a pathfinder, give you some suggestions. We could talk to Red Cross or talk to United Way, right? Or we can talk to fire chiefs from high level, not high river, right? You've got pathfinders, use them. There's your first incredible resource. But what in God's name does Canada's hotspot and the Northwest Territories have in common? Maybe it's their sense of identity. I'm a Littonite. You're a Yellowknifer? You're a Nor'wester? I have no idea. Nobody wandered around and says, "Hey, I'm a Yellowknifer," right? I was trying to get a sense over the last 2 days of your self-identification. All I could think of is, you're just as crazy as I am. You live in the north and I live in the desert. So we have some commonalities. I couldn't find any differences. Everything I could see is we are the same. Oh my God, you hunt, you fish, you gather. So does me and my family. So look at that. We have everything we need to live. That's why we live in the north, and that's why we live in Lytton. Right? We have friends, we have family, we have sense of community, right? We have leadership, right? Some who should have left a couple of years ago, but he's gone now. But you know what? We still have a country. Screw the ICP. Somebody ask it. The insane clown president. And I said I would behave myself. Oh, wait, he's recording this. Remember, when you're representing your family and your community, we must be on our best behavior. That moment has passed. But when we start looking at the commonality, there's things we might forget too. You know, we talk about waste management. I grew up and I was pooping in a hole in the ground. Nowadays, people think you can't live without flushable toilets or bidets. Seriously, that is so France. I don't know, does bidet actually translate into something? Anyway, if I'm picking on you, it's because somehow I've made eye contact. I've heard, I've listened, right? So far, we've taken a hit at the United Way, Red Cross, the clean energy person from Northwest Territories Association, High Level Alberta, where they don't bottle water and sell it to me in Lytton. But there's another thing we have in common, and I've heard it over the last 2 days. The one thing that really blows me away is you guys get it. We live in a world where apathy and denialism runs rampant, yet it's throughout everything. I phoned up Sarah. Sarah, where are you? Are you crazy? You put together an NWTAC electoral campaign package. You sent it to all the candidates saying, this is what we care about in the North. You used the words climate change. Sacre bleu! I have no idea what that translates at, but I'm just saying. It's better than tabernacle, right? Well, that's Christian for you. Climate change. Everything we've talked about above is changing. You get it. So what can we do? So in the video, I mentioned that we've been warning and warning and warning. And the basic concept is that, so not only do we share stuff, we have certain base knowledge. What you do to the land, you do to yourself. We're destroying the land, and therefore we're destroying ourselves. How can we change? When Ottawa thinks with their wallet. Is anybody here? So I can't pronounce it. It's like Gnat. Gnat? The Greater Northwest Territories government. So you have somebody who makes out, Minister of Makeout? Maca? So what's the name of that government entity? Right, do they think with their wallets or do they think about you? We have leadership, remember? The problem is, does leadership make decisions for us or do they make decisions for a few? I'm asking you today that don't sit on your ass. It doesn't matter who you vote for, but please Canada vote. Make an informed decision. And so please, and I do this everywhere. My ancestors were prohibited from voting till 1956. We have 100% voter turnout for Liberal, provincial, municipal, and regional elections. Because you denied me that right. How can I change my life and lifestyle and my future if you won't let me vote? And not only is it a responsibility of you to vote, you have to go out and grab Granny. Or whatever. Please vote. Is climate change real? For us it is. I already said you get it too. So Kanaka Bar, my home community, came out with the climate change report and gave us 5 years of programs and stuff, including fire resistance, all that sort of stuff. So it's called the Community Resiliency Plan. In 2024, Lytton First Nations just created its first environmental monitoring report. So we heard some funders talk about today really gently about there's funding to help you understand what are these risks, what are the trends, what are the probability. I can tell you this, whatever you're experiencing, it's going to grow in frequency, duration, and intensity. Get ready to ride. If it hasn't happened yet, it's coming. And I'm not saying that to scare you. I heard today, those who are prepared are resilient. Mikey, are you here? Having a plan, there's not a plan at all. I wish I could paraphrase him. He said a great one earlier. I'm just, geez, I'd never heard that before. Apparently, it's pretty cheesy to say that. Having no plan is a plan to fail. Have a plan. Now, I know that you all get it. I got it in 1992 when a 12-year-old spoke in Rio. If you haven't listened to her, a 12-year-old went to the very first climate change conference and said, this is what's happening and this is what you need to do. It's a resource material. When a 12-year-old speaks, listen. They are not blinded by the stupidity of whatever. They see things that we have become blind to. So I'm just asking you, have a chance to listen to Severn when she was 12. And everybody, you're all keeners here. It's no longer university. Some of you have already graduated. Some of you just went into trades, but you still know how to read. You could read this report from 2019. It has sections dedicated to climate change impacts in the North. Anybody read this? So, over there, I got this. I got 2 yeses in one of this. I'm just saying is in 2019, Canada says you're blued, screwed, and tattooed. You should probably read. Hopefully there's some solutions in there. 5 years later, right, are we still looking for the answers when the answers are there? And it's part of my message is the answers are there if you need it, if you want them. Use your resources, use the teams that you've seen here today. Find those solutions that work for you and your community. And because there's a new normal in town. It's no longer harm reduction, harm reversal. This is about getting yourself ready. The next 100 years is going to be rough. But you still have time to make the investments because there are 4 wolves. You remember the story about not by the hair of your chinny chin chin? When climate change comes a-rockin', it comes a-rockin' and it blows or burns or floods or freezes your stick and straw homes. Climate change isn't traveling as a Lobo wolf anymore. There's usually 4. I'm from Lytton. I was hot. I was 56 degrees because the ECC Canada didn't calibrate their weather stations. It was 56 degrees for 3 days. Superheated the fuels. 1 spark gone. But about 60 days later, the atmospheric river wiped out every road, followed by 15 days later, minus 32-degree temperature. All unheard of, all unprecedented, but all of it not unexpected. It wasn't just a question of if, it was a question of when. We just didn't know as a community that we'd get all 3 in a 9 months period. What are the consequences then? Well, you're living it. Alerts, orders, evacuations. You guys know the difference between an evacuation and a displacement, right? When you're evacuated, you get to come home to your house. When you're displaced, you lost your house in the event. That's why my wife was crying. That realization that we're no longer living in an intergenerational home with 17 people. We're living in a 10 by 20 goddamn foot trailer. And it's pretty much permanent. There's no more children. There's no more grandchildren. Where do 18 grandchildren go? Not to my house anymore. And that's tough. It's hard on your mind. It's hard on your heart. Right? And why am I up here? We'll get to that in the last slide. So that video, there's linked here, but there's also the Guardian video. So what you need to understand here is I'm not saying that my catastrophe is bigger or better than yours. I'm just saying is we've had the warnings. So we had a bit of a chronology. In 2016, what happened in 2016? High level. Fort McMurray, what happened in 2023? Fort McMurray? Yeah, I'm just saying is, didn't Fort McMurray just get, and then Kelowna, how many times does Kelowna have to burn? I bet you they're still building back with 2x4s. So what I'm seeing here is these patterns are you're starting to see these patterns. I'm just saying is at the end of the day, I grew up, it says don't build in a floodplain. So if you build in a floodplain and then you flood, I'm going, gee, didn't see that coming. Yeah, you did. But I'm not going to use sarcasm or humor. I'm just going, yeah, it sucks to be you. I built on a 1,000-year floodplain for a reason for 10,000 years. We don't build on floodplains. Why did you? I don't know. One thing I heard today, and everything I've talked about now, communication. Communication, communication. I want to tell you this. If you don't know what's going on in Lytton, that's your fault. If you want to go on Face Crack and listen to your sister's cousin Lucy, who lives in Alberta and hasn't been home in 30 years, that's just stupid. You want to know what's going on in Lytton? Talk to me. Talk to the recovery managers. Talk to the staff. Why are you trying to get informed by Facebook? I'm just saying is the toughest thing is part about Lytton recovery and rebuild is the fact is there's always champions on Facebook. If you want to know what's going on, look at the community engagement session. I'm available 24/7, 365. All you have to do is come see me. I'm not on Facebook. So if you want to talk to me, how about you just come on over? So Kanaka Bar and Lytton, two Indigenous communities in the Fraser Canyon, have made a strategic investment in batteries. Oops, no, we're not there yet. This is Maslow's hierarchy of needs from about, 1943, interviewed a bunch of Crees in the prairies and came up with this incredible thing. You guys know that, right? Maslow's hierarchy of needs is predicated on Indigenous knowledge. Just in case you didn't know that, there's a lot of academic journals. For my community, air, water, food, shelter. Made of concrete, you got a life and a lifestyle ahead of you. You make it out of everything else, you're living a very fragile lifestyle. Energy, transportation, communications, waste. These are not physiological foundations. These are systems that become too merry. But you need to protect all 8 of those things from a common cause, or common demon, which we shall call fire, okay? So we're preparing our community with as much fire resistance, fire resiliency as we can muster. And we're gonna get into that, and you're hearing it. And I'm just throwing it out as a resource. There's other stories out there, so have a look. There's other communities across the globe that are doing this. So you could read Climate Hope. It was released about 3 months ago. The Hope Flows from Action. Ooh, that's a good one. I wonder who wrote that. Anybody read that one? Who wrote that one? Oh, damn. I've been outed. I'm published. I don't think Canada knew what they did when, so it's funnier than get, because there's dripping with sarcasm and humor in that one. But we're not doing it alone. As Indigenous communities, we're bringing together my staff, my family, my friends, and we're bringing them together with experts. In the video, I spoke about a collective conscious knowledge. I can't understand what's going on, but if I take my traditional knowledge and marry it with your science, it's working. It's working. So your arrogance, your ego, my traditional knowledge is 10,000 years old, but it doesn't understand what's going on. Nobody in the last 10,000 years dealt with 56-degree temperature. Lytton's recorded temperature highest before that was 44. How do you live at 56 degrees? You can't. So introducing a little bit to Kanaka Bar's plan, which predates LFN's, what we did here is that working together as a community over the course of 9 months, we identified all of our wants and needs. We prioritized, we put an implementation schedule, and then we implement it. And we report back every 2 weeks. As the former chief of the Kanaka Bar Indian Band, I faced recall every 30 days. I don't know about the rest of you guys, your 2-year and 4-year mandates, that's just stupid. If I did a good job, I got another 30 days, right? Former chief lasted 35 years. Why you keep throwing your leadership out if they're doing a good job? I'm just saying this. So what did you do over the last 30 days? This is what I did. Boom, 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 boom. This is what we're going to do over the next 30 days. Can I get another 30 days? Well, all right then. Works for us. That's called accountability. If your chief has to show up every 3rd Thursday, and if he doesn't, he's going to get voted out. He needs to be there. So the Intikama word for recall is other. Is there anything else for today's meeting? No? Haven't heard no other. We'll adjourn to next month. Whew, 30 more days. So I'm not asking you guys to look at Kanaka Bar, but understand is that each one of you has to come up with your plan. And you've heard that. A plan without a plan is a plan to fail. So prioritization, schedule, results, reporting. Lytton. Really hard to do recovery and rebuild if you keep burning, flooding, freezing, then burning and burning and burning and burning. So let's just say that Lytton First Nations recovery and rebuild has had a couple of hiccups. But I can tell you we're miles ahead of the village of Lytton. Why? Because the village of Lytton has 3 workers and they're all in their 70s. Lytton First Nations has people like me, right? Who seriously needs to slow down, right? Remember, you walk. I was over here at the health thing. Walk, breathe. Yeah, I don't have time for that shit, okay? 2025, we don't know what's coming. See above. But when the Creator gives you curveballs, learn to hit home runs. Since the fire, we did this. Not the federal government, not the provincial government, not the regional government, not the municipal government. Lytton First Nations did this. I'm not here to brag. With 2,152 band members, people came, what can I do to help? All right. So Bobby McKay is the Lytton 2021 recovery manager. She lost her home in the fire. She says, what can I do to help? Oh, Jesus Christ, we lost 42 homes. Can you be the recovery manager? She says, what do I have to do? You have to meet with all the people. You help to clean up their lands, blah, blah, blah. You mean to say you want to give me a job with meaning and purpose? Yeah. And we'll mentor you. Anytime you run into something about, come see me. I'm over here picking something or scratching something. I just over in the corner look good and use bad words. Right? You build capacity. Then 2022, when we lost more homes, Raven, who was sitting down there, she lost her job as a waitress, says, so what can I do to help? Oh, can you be the recovery manager for 2022 and 2023? Really? I don't know. Yeah, but we're here to support you. We're building capacity. So it wasn't just about, so the catastrophe brought us together, and the young men and women who wanted to help, we gave them that responsibility. Their job is to make recommendations. My job is to say, have you thought this through? Yes? Make it happen. Come back to me next week. Chief and Council LFN meets every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks they're updated. Okay? Oh, by the way, the recycling depot. Who spells depot? That'd be me. Why didn't you catch it, Ryan? Spell check doesn't work in PowerPoint. Come on, I had to think deport is something else that's probably affecting my son-in-law, but we'll get that to another day. One of the things we study in Lytton is what's called economic leakage, and we see people throwing the recycling into the garbage or driving 2 hours away. So we've convinced the recycling center to open up so people can recycle their pop cans and their pop bottles. We created another job. Not the village, not the regional district. We did it. So people have got something meaningful to do. They're participating. And Fire Smart and all the things that Mikey and you've heard about here, our families are doing it. Our friends are doing it, right? The worst word you can use in the Ntlakatma word is I'm bored. Woo, have I got a rake for you. Rebuild, okay? Rebuild is taking a little bit longer, and so people say, why is it taking so long? Okay, so the first thing we did as part of the Lytton rebuild was, let's study the contamination. 487 pages later, turns out it's fatal. So we had to clean all that contamination out of the ground. But we dug so deep, we unearthed 400 bodies. So in addition to the fire and the flood and the cold and people wanting to go on holidays, then HR, remember HR is throw your staff in the fire. Turns out you guys up here, we call it forced fire hazard reduction. You call it hazard reduction, something like that. I'm just saying, no, you don't throw your staff into the fire, right? You support them. It's pretty hard to rebuild your community when you're cleaning up 150 years of stupidity. But we did it. Every home is now under construction. My job as rebuild director is make sure the material assets are now under the design phase. Because the last thing you wanted was the band office up and running before people were home, right? Remember recall? I think the last thing you should be building is your band office. I've seen other communities, their band office is up pretty nice, pretty fast. Meanwhile, somebody's still living in a 10 by 20 trailer somewhere. There's a video here. Not only are we self-performing in management and stuff like this with the experts, every LFN band member, man or woman who could swing a hammer is building their own homes. We brought in carpenters who monitor it. The carpenters are now gone, so we've got people now in first year, second year, third year. We've now got 4 Red Seal carpenters. We're building our homes. And you know what a guy who's building his home for his mom does? He doesn't cut corners. He exceeds all expectations. It may take a little longer, but the goddamn homes that are coming back are fine homes. They're good homes. Right? We're no longer building shit homes. Oh. How long did that take before I dropped the 4-letter word? Darn it. My favorite one is, what's my favorite 4-letter word when it comes to climate change? W-O-R-K. Raking doesn't occur on its own, and a chief doesn't do light bulbs either. And that's why I retired, because people said, chief needs to change my light bulb. No, I don't. That's up to you. Climate change preparation resiliency is a 4-letter word. It's called work. A mayor isn't going to save you. A chief isn't going to save you, but I will work alongside you if you're prepared to do the work. The next steps for Lytton First Nations is part of all this, bringing it all together, is to create our own next 5-year plan. We're creating an infrastructure plan, so we're now locating where as-built within plus or minus. We now know where every water license is, every intake is, every sewer line, every water line, every hydro pole, every fire hydrant is now mapped by GPS, right? So now I have, as I look at future expansion, it's like this now. We've got the in-house capacity. Sure, I still need engineers and architects to seal stuff, right? But when we make a decision, baby, we're going to hammer it home. 180 homes. Why? Because my membership can't afford to live in the city anymore. It's now become too unaffordable to live in the city. A lot of my membership are working at Tim Hortons and Walmarts, and they can't afford to stay there. So will you move home? 3 bedrooms, hydro included, $1,000. Brand new. Would you move home? Well, what are you going to do here? Oh, you're going to work at the store, or you're going to run the gas station. You know, for the crazy people, maybe we'll even put a Tim Hortons in with a drive-thru. I'm just saying, but you can't have a Tim Hortons without water. Just letting you guys know. I really want to just quickly hammer home through here is that I told you earlier that about the 8 planning areas, and you need to protect it, and you need to protect it from the number 1 threat is fire. And there's things you can do, right? So the Lytton Fire home is lost. You know about the evacuation here yourself. I'm just saying is since 2018, we've known what was coming. If you haven't read it, the Abbott-Chapman report, 84 recommendations post-Elephant Hill fire. Of those 84 recommendations by 2021, 3 were implemented. What is going on with our governments? The reports are out that I heard everybody talk about. Report this, report that, report this, report that. Well, why don't you tell me about the implementation of that report? You're telling me the report exists. But you know what? When I was listening to High Level talk about the things that have been advanced now, that's being galvanized. It's a catalyst. I'm going, oh my God, they're actually doing cross-training here? The guys that are the firefighters sit down here and they won't go put out a wildfire, and the guy that's a wildfire, they're sitting at the fence. Oh, it's not my jurisdiction. It's not my liability. If I cross that fence, I'm going to get fired. For Christ's sake, people's homes and livelihoods are at stake, right? If you've got the fire guard up and you don't have to go anywhere, why can't you jump over the fence? So I'm looking forward to this harmonization of the Alberta thing with the BC Wildfire Services. I'm pretty sure that you guys are miles ahead of us on that one. So I really enjoyed that presentation. Bad fire and more of them. So bad fire, you heard some presentations earlier today, maybe for those from the Explorer Hotel. Well, you missed a lot of good stuff. You should have just blown that one and get over here. But anyway, what do I know? Oh, did I say a bad one? If you knew I was coming to town, no. You understand the work that you're doing over there is also important too. And the fact that I've seen the companies get together, I went down and said, what is that, New World Order? The Ecology Earth? What's that group with Hannah? So I went down there and listened to them. A bunch of people, these Yellowknifers are all getting together. They're probably volunteers. They're not paid or nothing. I showed up there in my Mac jacket looking like one of the people down by the NWTAC office and said, hey, this is really cool. Who are you? I saw. Nobody was trying to hide my tie, right? Because I do wear a Mac jacket. You've seen me. Remove the fuel. It's not rocket scientists, it's common sense. We can't, so there is called a fire triangle. So I'm covering it up here. Mike, tell me the fire triangle. I've got it covered. Come on, you're the expert. Fuel and heat. Guess what, everybody? There's not a hell of a lot we can do about oxygen and heat. But guess what? You won't burn if there's no fuel. Fire smart. Remove the fuel. W-O-R-K. Get off your ass. Oh, do you remember when I said I was going to behave myself? Oh. I'm just going to say, just remove the fuel. Frequency, duration, intensity, this is Kelowna, okay? I'm not going to go into this a little bit more other than just read it through. But I want to stop in this deck to remind you. You can't eliminate it. So when we heard about the fire guards, guess what? A fire guard is great for a crown fire. A fire guard is great for a ground fire. But we now know that these embers are traveling 4 to 6 kilometers. right? So we can't eliminate the risk. The best we can do is give our infrastructure and the systems the best chance at surviving. So that's basically it when it comes to Fire Smart. Don't think you've done it. It's not going to happen. All it takes is one ember to be sucked up your soffit. My only point is, why are you using soffits in the first place? But Mike was trying to explain to me why, but watershed fuel management. We heard Joe and others talk about cultural burns. We now know about prescribed burns where it takes 3 to 5 years and a whole shitload of permits, and you get the burn about a patch of dirt about the size of this hotel room. Screw that. My wife says, have you finished your yard work? I says, yes. I'm a broke-ass Indian. If it gets away, what are you going to do, sue me? I'm $500,000 in debt, and I don't have a house. Trust me. When I left Lytton, it was 26 degrees. When I get back Saturday, it's going to be 30. I don't think I'm going to be flicking my bick anytime soon. Do it while you can. Do it while it's cool. Joel was talking about it, because the danger with watershed and prescribed burnings is that the chance of an escape is too high. So you need to pool those resources to make this work. So watershed burning, the cookie stories and all the search stuff you heard. In BC, the burn rings are every 5 years. The burn rings are every 4 years. Did you hear Joe? Because you burnt every 4 years, you burned your watershed for berries, every 5 years for ungulates. As the rest of those Indians who were burning every 15 years, that's just lazy. I have no idea. But you know in BC when it ended? 1846, when smallpox wiped out 60% of my population. And then BC passed a law in 1888 making it illegal. Joe mentioned that. It's now illegal to do cultural burns. But that's okay. Give a man a cigarette Sunday afternoon and a Bic. Does it work? Absolutely. Look at the maps. Everywhere we treated, the fire never burnt. So map your polygons where you're treating and doing a forest fire, hazard reduction, prescribed burns, and when the fires come, it's working. So use that technology, Esri, whatever you want to call it. It works. The problem is it's work. What I'd hate is, why do my volunteers invoice me? My definition of volunteer and your definition of volunteer often doesn't work. So we have a capacity issue. We're saying, I'd love to help you, Patrick. On Sunday, 4 people came to watch me burn the elephant burn pile. I got extra rakes. No, that's okay. They sat in their trunks. I don't care. I had it under control. I have a phone. The fire escaped. I phoned the fire department. Oh, wait, we don't have one. They lost their equipment and their fire hall in a fire. BC Wildfire Services, well, they're not called out yet, but I do have them. So I know if my fire escapes, I can give those guys a call. They're great. Right? I just didn't tell them I was burning in advance, because somebody would have told me I can't. Remove the fuel. Basic Fire Smart 101. Remember the guy that says, we raked the duff and the fire didn't go through the fire no more. But you know what? If we pruned and thinned, the fire went just as fast. It was just not as big as flames. Remove the fuel. Man with rake in 5 hours can do some serious fuel removal. How do I know? Because I did it for 24 hours before I came up here. All I did was rake fuel, right? Where it was too close to homes, right? That field there, that's me mowing it. That's what raking looks like. That's not the chief. These kids are saying, hey, what are you doing? Oh, I'm pulling the weeds. Can we help? Well, if you must, I've got some extra. So these kids are all thinking it's all fun and games. I'm just going, holy shit. These kids are keepers. Put it in that blue truck. We'll bring it over to the burn pile. Right? You guys going to be around tomorrow when I light her up? Oh, no. We're going to Walmart in Kamloops. Right? And then we're going to go to a movie. Oh, yeah, but we need to protect our homes. Oh, no, but we're going to Walmart. Did you know your town has a Walmart, but not a Costco? Huh. I went down, and did you guys hug that Ricky owner? What kind of guy moves the Yellowknife to open up a Ricky's? Oh, I'm just saying, I'm standing with my hoodie on, they're looking at me, I'm kind of scaring, and I kind of unveiled my tie. I said, you guys are really brave. What's going on? I've been following you in cabin radio. Who moves to Yellowknife to open up a Ricky's? Who? So I had a cheeseburger, cost me $20. I probably won't be eating there anymore. I'm gonna go down to the quarry where it's $15 on game night. I ain't no rich Indian. Cheeseburgers for $20, $6 for a piece of frozen apple pie. Ay, that Ricky. Take before and after pictures. It's really important when you're doing stuff, whether it's the maps. You know, this is what it looked like. This is what it looked like after, right? This is what it looked like. This is what it looked like after. All of these projects are about 4 hours, and it makes a world of difference. Guys start seeing, oh my God, all my dead cars are visible. You fucking hauled them all away. I'm so embarrassed. They're hidden by the weeds. It's pretty funny, just so you guys know. You did, right? Sometimes you can just burn it right there when it's cool enough, right? This is fall burning. Right now, the spring is too dry, but the fall we usually get a little bit more humidity, okay? And so earlier I had a picture of this site here, is that you can't do it all and can't do it all at once. It's incremental. All right, where are you? Carla, how do you eat an elephant? Right. Do you think I wasn't setting her up for that call? You can't do it all. You can't do it all at once. That's why they call it prioritization. We started, I'll never lose the temporary grocery store. The stupid reefer unit that somebody donated never worked, so I don't know what they're using it for. Probably all those stupid furniture that showed up in 2021. What part of we don't want your donations because we lost our homes in Homestown? What are we going to do with 17 couches? We left them outside, become a fuel hazard. Okay, so you can remove the fuel, but what do we do about these homes? Jesus Christ. You ever heard about money pit or lemon? How about putting lipstick on that bad boy? We live in shit homes. 2x4s, apparently the holes are really bad, and sparks can get in and soaking mice and cold air. And now my home that I lost, I did a blower door testing 14 times an hour. So one of you energy efficiency experts, is air evacuations per hour of 14 good? That means in the summertime, my air conditioners were working 14 times. In this wintertime, my heaters were heating. So we want to create these envelopes that are better. We call it passivity. Also known as quit building homes with holes in them. They really suck for your energy bill. Right? But then how do you protect those homes? Even if you can't, because there's 193 homes. So we did some initial assessments. It doesn't count. Go away. What am I at? No. You can ask me questions. All right. So let's just say here, have a look at this. My point is, you live in a shit home. Is there something you can do about it? The answer is yes. Look at the Fire Smart manuals. They'll give you the low-hanging fruit. Number one, fix your damn soffit. If you don't know what a soffit is, look it up in Wikipedia. YouTube that shit. That really works. One of the homes that survived in Lytton wasn't a home. Reverend Muir and Father Darren says it was an act of God. No, it wasn't. You had slave laborers on Sunday who cut the lawn. They're called parishioners. Not only did they not give you an invoice, they actually put money in the bucket too, didn't they? Who do you think? I'm just saying a bunch of crazy Indians wandering around, mowing the lawns around the church, giving money for the hardy board and putting metal roofs on. Goddamn fire rages through. Here's that radiant heat, 1600 degrees. You got the flames rising high, sparks. Nothing. Fire Smart really works. Ask this slob. He's got survivor's guilt. 1924 home made out of 2x4 survived the Hawaiian fire. Why? Accidental Fire Smart. I don't think they had Fire Smart in Hawaii. Study these stories. Remember this lady today? She also worked with somebody in government or something like that. She's like Mott's Tomatoes sauce or something. What was her name? She was sitting right about here. And she said, we not only learned from our experiences, we learned Canadians. Come on. Yeah, that's it. It's Michelle Pond. Right? Okay, I usually cheat. I have the book. So I'm just saying is, listen, the solutions are out there. Find them. Talk to NWTC. Talk to everybody else. The solutions are there. It's not innovative to do something that works. Fire Smart, developed by the North Territories for Canadians. How many people are actually using it? Apparently, the people in Hawaii. Here's another novel idea. I'm not telling you. I'm just saying is, when you get a chance to rebuild, mass timber. If your 2x6 offends, they use more. Why wouldn't you use a product that's fireproof? That's what this guy did in Lahaina Beach. He said, hey, we're at risk from the Santa Ana winds. There's this fireproof product. Look at it, right? He built it, and he sit down there, his power is out with his Virgin Mai Tai going, Jesus, everybody knew what was coming. It sucks to be you. Well, you're watching ABC coverage it. Geez, you knew what was coming. Yeah, it's a logical consequence. Goddamn LA's burnt so many times in the last 20 years. How do we know? Because you go look, it built the burn. You remember that burn pattern? Go down to California. They burn every 5 to 7 years. What is it, a plot? A plan? And then you find out this company from 1920 who builds this fireproof building material. Do you know why Canadians don't use AAC? 2 reasons. It's affordable and it works. We're Canadians. That means we're usually 30 to 40 years behind everybody else. Although the Basili, he created the BlackBerry, but until the iPhone killed him. AAC is sold in a block. It's $12 a block. It's lighter than a case of Coke. Lighter than a case Pepsi. I went down, was taking pictures of that store. Remember those people hang out at the NWTAC and they have all those pictures in a grocery store? They're probably thinking, that fucking guy in his hoodie's taking pictures of our fruit juice. If you can bring a goddamn case of Pepsi Cola to Yellowknife, you can bring AAC. But is the architects and engineers going to tell you about it? Nope. 2 slides left. 3 days ago, it's 26 degrees. I just finished burning, scaring the piss out of everybody, so I thought I'd go pick some of our traditional foods. My daughter says yesterday, Dad, just so you know, I'm pregnant. Oh, I was wondering, what the fuck do I know? So this is the child. Remember the child when she was 18 months pregnant? My brother is coming home tomorrow. So this is Atreus. Anybody know who Atreus is? Come on, some of you are gamers. So who's Atreus? He's Loki's son from God of War. You think my goddamn teenage, they're in their 20s now. Quit naming your goddamn kids after goddamn game characters. I hate to understand. Oh, this was today at 10:44. So the man, the emotional range of a teaspoon's sitting over there, blubbering his bloody tears out. And they're tears of joy. I've lost my home and my hometown. And the only damn thing that mattered, me made it out. My wife, my 6 kids, and 17 grandchildren. I don't know what they're going to name this thing. And I just, God forbid, it's kind of like, I don't know, Steve from Minecraft. Jesus Christ. Whatever you're going to do, find your reason why. And I wanted to tell you that I'm aware of the risk, the trend, the probability, the consequences. I'm aware of the solutions. I help people do what they need to do. And I don't do it because you heard, and other people have said it here. I really don't give a shit about my wallet. What I care about is giving my children and grandchildren a safe place to stay. So find your why, find your passion, work with the United Way, work for Red Cross, work for your communities. But for God's sakes, if you don't believe, The man in the yellow tie. It's called the eternal flame of optimism. I wear it because I still believe in our collective future. And I hope you do too. So this is just a wacky ass symbol. You say, oh shit, there comes that guy. Half the people will cross the street to avoid me, the other half will cross the street to say hi. That's why I have to disguise myself in a picture. Find your why. At the end of the day, I found this lady wandering around Lytton. And I'm going to finish now. I have poor Ollie. This lady's wondering, hey, Jesus, lady, what you doing here? She said, oh, I heard about the Lytton story. She said, who are you? She said, my name is Sarika. Oh, what does that mean? Oh, Sarika Suzuki. What does that mean? Well, I'm here. I'm working for CBC. Oh, shit, there was that Suzuki guy. He used to work for CBC. Oh, that's my dad. Well, how come he's not working for CBC? Did he finally lose his marbles and start cussing on live TV? Anyway, so I took her around Lytton and shoved her over the bank, and she came back up. Holy, this lady might be a keeper. So she did this video. I want you guys to take the time to watch it. I still believe in CBC. Right? What? Yeah, I love my CBC. Why do you think I played BBC? There's still some credible media out there. The only other one I found locally is Cabin Radio, right? First person that came to see was Ollie. I'm not reading the Yellowknifer. I'm reading Cabin Radio. Take the time. You have time. I have no idea how he gets paid, but it doesn't matter to me. I've been creeping Yellowknife. All right, so let me end this way. I am controversial because I will go to the Assembly of First Nations with British Columbia and Canada on my thing. I will go to the Union of BC Indian Chiefs, and people say, oh, you are a sellout, you're a colonizer. I says, bullshit. They're not going anywhere, neither are we, so we better get along. And henceforth, and from this day, my new home. Took me 36 hours to figure out that was a yellow knife. Found it in my bling bag. So as I travel across Canada, people say, what's that? Well, that's from Tojon. What? What? So ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys so much. I'm going to be doing a wrap up with Ollie and tomorrow. But the main thing is I am a resource person. If there's something I've said or put in the materials, please find me. I'm not hard to find. All I say is, please use your subject line appropriately, because I don't reply to blank subject lines. Do not, I have email phobia, which is, don't write to me multiple questions. If you got a question, send me the question and I can reply back. I do change them. I am available for all of you here. Don't guess. The only bad question is the one you didn't ask, and I'm not taking questions because my name is Patrick and I'll be here all week.